I thought that the stove was going in on Monday. It didn't. I'd waited weeks for heat, and it looked like I was going to have to wait a few more days. Hi everyone, welcome to Pomathorn Station Renovation. My name's Ian. If you've missed the previous episodes, head over to the channel. This week we've got the stove install, both the failed attempt and the successful attempt, and then also we've got the first fire. Alright, let's jump into it. Monday morning, nice and early, Brian and his partner Willie, the stove installers and builders, came to install the stove. We chatted for a while, I gave them a little tour, told them what I was up to, what the plans were, and then they just started working away. Willie climbed up the ladder to the chimney. He dropped a weight with a line on the end to ensure that the chimney was clear. Brian was at the other end, at the fireplace side, and they were just on the phone to each other, communicating. As they were working away, I filmed some of what they were doing, and then I cracked on with a few jobs myself. Once the chimney was proven that it was clear, they started to run the flue. Brian measured up and cut the cement board that would sit above the stove. Unfortunately, Brian snapped the cement board. Off to the suppliers they went to grab a new one. When they got back, they kept working away. I was in the attic pottering away when I hear Brian shout up from downstairs. "You alright, Ian?" Immediately I didn't think this was right. "Yeah? You alright?" "No, I've mucked it right up." "Oh shit, what's happened?" They'd been working away for a few hours, got the flue run, cement board in place, and then put the stove in to connect it up. They'd run a 5-inch flue for a 6-inch stove outlet. They were pretty embarrassed. I was a little bit shocked that this had happened, but usually they would provide the stove, whereas this time I picked my own stove, and I guess they just forgot to check it. We chatted away for a little while. They said they would order a new flue and get back ASAP to do the install. I wasn't devastated, I was just tired, and, a little bit gutted. I'd need to keep waiting for the heat to come. But honestly, this is one of those experiences that boosted my confidence and relieved my doubt for my own work. Two professionals that had been in the trade for decades mucked up the initial install, and it made me feel so much more accepting of my own mistakes. Honestly, I think we all just felt pretty bad for each other. Them bad for me for no stove today, and me feeling bad for them that obviously they wanted to get this job done and it wasn't happening today. While I waited for the redo of the stove install, I pottered away and got quite a lot of fringe jobs done. As the cold and short days were creeping in, I was trying to get things tidied up and organised. As always, there were waste runs to do. I was mainly just cracking on with this myself this week. I still wasn't going to get a skip, and at the end of week 8 was when the van was going to get scrapped. The van had to get scrapped, as the whole chassis was rusted beyond repair, and its MOT was at the end of week 8. There was no way it was going to pass. Mostly this week, I spent a lot of time cutting timber, preparing for the long cold days where I'd need to have the fire roaring. Week 8 didn't go very quickly. I was working away window cleaning, very aware that the sunrise was getting later and the sunset was getting earlier. My list was long, but week 8 felt like one of those in-between kind of floating weeks. With the cottage stripped back and as empty as it was quite nice just walking around and spending time in the house, when the temperature would allow you to take your jacket off. Then finally, Saturday rolled around. This was the stove install. For real this time. Brian and Willie came round, back up the ladder to run the flue. The sound of the flue getting pressed down the chimney was quite exhilarating. It really didn't take them long, they knew what they were doing, and I think they wanted to get it done. This was Saturday morning, bear in mind. They got the flue run down, connected up the stove. I know it sounds silly, but the stove was the first new thing for the house. It's easily one of the most expensive things I've purchased, and yet I wasn't the first one to make a mess. I completely understand they had to do the smoke test, so while I pottered away in the background, I saw them lighting the fire. It looked good, I must admit. They performed the smoke test, filled out some paperwork, chatted away for a little while. They told me if there's anything I need, any advice, just want to get them round to check what I'm doing and make sure I'm doing it right, give them a shout. This was really nice, and I felt like this was my first couple of friends down here. After Brian and Willie left, it was time for me to really get the fire going. I opened the door, they had already lit the kindling, so I just had to get a couple of logs in and get it going. I'd never had a stove before. Ashley and I have been on some staycations with a stove, and it was pretty magical, so I knew what to expect. Even with just a couple of bits of kindling, I opened the door to put the logs in and could feel the heat coming off. I was excited. I popped the logs in, closed the door, and opened the intake. Within a couple of minutes, the logs just lit up. As the fire crackled away, the smell filled the room. The sounds of the crackles at first gave me goosebumps, but after a few hours of being around the fire, I got used to it. It started to just be something that added to the atmosphere of the house. Walking around the house with the fire lit, your eyes just glued to it. Didn't matter which room you were in, you could see the fire because it was so stripped back. I knew that the stove would give the house an atmosphere, but I didn't think it would make it feel so homely, even in spite of the fact that it was an uninhabitable building. As I walked around, still geared up, jacket on, shoes on, the house was still dust and stone, but for the first time, it felt alive. The stove couldn't have gone in at any better of a time. By that weekend, there weren't really any cold snaps. It was just cold. The days were really short, and the nights were really long. The heat is in, but the house is still open. The render was still trapping the moisture, knowing it couldn't come up till spring. There were other ideas of the cause of the dampness that were forming, mainly ventilation. I knew I was going to have to get the floors up, and I knew that crawl space ventilation was incredibly important. The ideas of what were wrong and what I could do to fix it were starting to flow. And then that weekend, I had to take the van over to my mum's partner Gavin and say goodbye. It had really been an end of an era. I'd only had the van for 8 weeks, quite easily. Me, my family, combined with Gavin using his van as well, we'd taken tons and tons to the recycling centre. The first 8 weeks, characterised by the van, were frantic stripping out. I knew the van had a time limit, so I really pushed my back up against the wall to get as much out as I could. Again, don't have the money for skips. It's not going to happen. Doing this with my own vehicle, my own hands, and as much help as I could get was all I had. I was really sad to lose the van. And I was sad for losing my van man personality that I had built up over the past 8 weeks. But I was happy that there was no more frantic skip runs for me to do by myself. In the first 2 months of having the keys, I lost around 10% of my body weight. This was literally just from doing the skip runs and the clearing out. I was doing so much, it didn't matter how much I ate. I was always in a calorie deficit. And I'm not somebody who can afford to lose weight. The van marked the end of an era. Now, progress would slow and winter would dictate the pace. Another thing that came from Brian and Willie was the recommendation of a couple of different architects to contact. My plans were getting bigger. I wasn't cutting myself short, and I definitely wasn't dreaming small. I knew I would need an architect for what I wanted to do. At the end of week 8, sitting in front of the stove, that's when my mind started to wander. The research was already incredibly deep, but it always gets deeper. There's always more to know, and a new way to do things. And hey, I don't know what I don't know. But I did know the render needed to come off. There was ventilation questions running around my mind. I really wanted to get these answered. The concerns for the humidity within the crawl space and the dampness around the rest of the property were really closing in, as winter did. I knew that the stove would be the only way of getting heat into the property. But could one stove really dry the property out enough over winter? I didn't think so either. By this point, I wasn't really reacting anymore. I knew what was going on. I knew what I was scared of. I knew there was only so much I could do with my own 2 hands. And so it was really time to plan. I needed an architect on board. I needed to get plans drawn up. And I needed to look towards the future for what I could do in spring and in summer. I knew that it would be really hard working at the house throughout winter, but I still thought I would be able to get a lot done. So I didn't give up. Doesn't matter how dark or how cold it is or how hard it is to get up in the morning. A job's a job, an hour's an hour. Progress is progress. But I was thinking this in November, and December, January and February are hard, cold months. The house was stripped back. I'd lost the van. But week 8 gave me heat. It did also remind me how much was still ahead. I was trying to push doubt to the far recesses of my mind. Even though March is a good month, with a lot of light added to the day, I kinda bit off more than I could chew, and burnt out. There's no ill feelings towards myself for that, bound to happen. I'm taking the rest I need, and I'm prioritising the things that are most important to me. Excuse me for not posting in a little while. YouTube, unfortunately right now, isn't my peak priority, but it is a passion. I want to write these stories, I want to tell these stories, and I want to create a community with the people who enjoy watching my content. So I really do appreciate you returning and watching the content. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.